Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to give some feedback on Boom's speaking test. She goes by two names, Boom and Trinh. Anyway, let's check it out. Good afternoon, my name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
My full name is Hoodwan Ngọc Trinh.
And what should I call you?
You can call me by Bông.
Boom. Okay. You can call me Boom, not call me by Boom, but this part isn't checked, but you can call me Boom. Thank you. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Currently, I'm a high school student, but in the near future, I would like to study at a university, which is located in Hanoi, the capital.
All right, so the first thing to notice is pronunciation and intonation. It's unnatural. There's a lot of rising tones. Currently, da 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 da. A lot of rising intonations at the end of clauses, which isn't overly natural. But anyway.
Capital of Vietnam.
And what are you planning to study?
Well, because I would like to become an English teacher in the near future, I will focus more on English language, on
I will focus much. I don't know if she's saying much, but that ch sound isn't coming out. And there are, throughout this test, a lot of phonological features or specifically specific phonemes that aren't articulated clearly. One reason for this can be that candidates speak too quickly or they rush their language, and so they could slow down just to make sure they hit all of those things. There is a tendency for people from Southeast Asia, particularly Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, they often don't pronounce the consonants at the end of a word. So if we have a word like beach or much or finish or watch or eat, very often people from Southeast Asia don't pronounce that final consonant. And so, yeah, I would strongly recommend slowing speech down and just making sure that you pronounce that final consonant.
and after that maybe I will learn one
I were there's no L coming out there. I will learn. I will learn.
or two other language.
Order, order. So again, the other order. There is a tendency for not just people from Asia, but for people from different parts of the world. Jamaica, this happens a lot too. Not to understand how English uses this schwa sound. The schwa sound in English is uh, and it is the most common sound in the English language. Pretty much all unstressed syllables, all unstressed vowels have this uh. So it's not order, but other, other. English isn't, well, English is a semi-phonetic language, which means that, we write it kind of how we speak it, but not exactly, right? So if I just read free writing feedback in June, it is not free writing feedback in June. So we don't pronounce every letter, but there is a tendency for many people around the world to try to speak English in the way that it's written, and that will negatively affect pronunciation. Which other languages would you like to learn?
Mm, maybe Japanese and Japanese.
So maybe Japanese and Japanese. Maybe Japanese and Japanese. I don't think I need to add comments.
Because I wanted to learn these languages.
I wanna to learn. So if you use wanna, that's fine. I wanna learn, not wanna to learn. You can say I want to learn. You can say I wanna learn. but not wanna to learn.
to know more about its culture.
About, dropping that t, about, about, about. So again, we don't hear that final consonant sound. About this culture. Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to talk to you about technology. How often do you use a computer?
Well, it depends. From Monday to Friday, I
Monday to Friday, so we don't get that Friday. Friday.
rarely use computer because I spend most of my time at school. But as a weekend, I spend about 3 or 4 hours every day using my computer.
And so the accent is, not only is it noticeable, but it has the potential to cause some confusion for the listener. So the listener, really, we often think like, how hard do I need to work as an examiner to understand the main idea? And I have to listen carefully to make sure that I understand that when I hear the mispronunciations, if I focus hard enough, I can figure out what she's saying. But the harder I have to work, the lower the mark for pronunciation. And do you like chatting to your friends online?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Do you like chatting to your friends online?
No, yeah, of course. Chatting
See, this is I love this. Yeah, well, yeah, of course. And this is what I want more of from Boom. To speak as a human that speaks English. You'll see throughout this test that it often feels like she's performing as a candidate in a speaking test, but I want to see the human in the candidate. So, yeah, of course. That's the beautiful language that I know she has, and I want her to use that more. Instead of thinking that this is a job interview, I want to see her using her natural language skills more.
with friends is really my cup of tea because it's great for
Yeah, so chatting to friends is really my cup of tea. Now, cup of it's my cup of tea. Look, hey, it's fine as an idiomatic expression, but it's noticeable in the way that Boom delivers this. It's really my cup of tea. She's putting extra unnatural emphasis on cup of tea because she's learnt it's my cup of tea as a fixed expression, and she thinks, or she's been told, that if she uses idioms that she's going to get a higher mark. Now when I hear that, I think, okay, my cup of tea, it's kind of suitable here, but the extra stress on that kind of shows me that it's a strategic, not a spontaneous, natural use of this lexical item, of this word, of this phrase, but it's really like forcing that extra language in because she's seen some Instagram short or some post on Twitter that says, instead of saying I like something, say it is my cup of tea. And then you get all of these candidates that learn this language and use it in this awkward way.
me to relax and recharge my batteries.
Relax. Again, you don't get that full phonological feature. Relax. It has a cursor. Relax. And recharge my battery. Again, it's okay. Again, we get that recharge my battery. The higher rising intonation. And again, recharge my battery. It's suitable here. I like this more than my cup of tea.
After learning how.
And do you have any favorite social networking sites?
Yeah, I can list some of them like Facebook, Instagram, yeah, and currently WhatsApp. I knew it. I know it because I keep in touch with friends from America
So I'm working hard to understand keep in touch with. I don't know if you hear it, keep in touch with, but I have to work hard to get that. Listen again. Can you pick out keep in touch with?
Yeah, and currently WhatsApp, I knew it. I know it because I keep in touch with friends
I keep in touch with, keep in touch with. So I have to work that out.
from America, but she only use WhatsApp. That's why I have to download it to
Download, download it. download, eat, download, download it, download it, download it. Um,
Cake with her.
with that is using "the" to replace "the." It happens even in parts of the UK and parts of the USA. Let's move on now and talk about animals. Do you like animals?
Yes, but it de- well, it depends. I only love pet, like puppy, like cat.
So a puppet is something like usually a puppet is something you put your hand in and go like, "Hello, my name is Bobby." That's a puppet. I think she means puppy. Um,
But other animals, maybe
there's also this staccato or mechanical pronunciation where the chunking isn't quite there. She doesn't like link certain words together. Like usually if we say something like I'm going on holiday next week, I'm going on holiday next week, I'm going on holiday next week. Boom's pronunciation is more like I am going on holiday next week. So it's broken up, it's more mechanical, it's more staccato. We don't get that natural flow, that natural intonation in her pronunciation.
I don't like them.
And did you have a pet when you were younger?
Yeah, let me see. When I was studying at a primary school, I had
Da 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 da. When I was studying at primary school, that's not natural. Natural is when I was studying at primary school. Da 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 da. When I was studying at primary school, that's natural intonation.
a puppet, which was really cute and lovely. But just for now, I moved to another house which don't have any outdoor space. That's why my parents cannot keep a puppet.
A puppy. And how often do you go to the zoo?
Well, I wanted to say that I rarely go
I wanna say, not I wanted to say. I wanna say, I want to say, or I wanna, but not I wanted to say.
to the zoo because I live in a small village. There are not there are not many zoos. That's why I have to go to the big cities to visit many
The B city, big cities, big cities.
zoos.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part of the test, all right. So part one, just a little bit of reflection on part one. So I like the fact that Boom is answering her questions in full. She is extending her answers with some extra details, which I think is nice. She has shown some decent elements of vocabulary. Um, Pronunciation is lacking for a couple of reasons. The first is we don't hear, especially the consonant sounds, we don't hear all of those. Some of them are dropped. Also, the intonation is rather mechanical. Really, for part two, so those are the things that stand out for me for part one. And very often, when part one, you get the obvious strengths and weaknesses, and then as the test goes on, you start thinking about, well, what didn't I really think about much in that first part? And I didn't really think about much of her grammatical range and accuracy. So I kind of already know where she is with pronunciation. I know her pronunciation isn't going to change. I know that she has pronunciation band 5. So fluency and coherence, I kind of have an idea where she is. So now I'm going to start focusing on a little bit more attention to the vocab that she uses, but most importantly, I want to think about her grammatical range and accuracy in part two because I don't know what score I'm going to give her for that yet. So let's see how she does. I'm going to give you a topic, and I would like you to speak about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you will have 1 minute to prepare for your talk, and you may
Yeah,
take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
yeah. Okay, you can send me the topic.
I will now share the topic on my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, okay.
Great. I would like you to talk about a time when you helped someone. So your 1 minute of preparation time starts now. So when Boom was doing her preparation and she came back, her microphone was muted, and so I thought I would let her know that her microphone was muted just to make sure that everything was okay, but she unmuted it at exactly that time. So there's a little bit of uh, strange strange words from me coming up.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk. I'll let you know when the time is up. Um, just to let you know, oh, you're not muted. Great. So, can you start speaking now, please? So, once the examiner says, can you start speaking now, please, or speak now, please, that's your turn to start speaking.
Yes. Okay. So I can start now.
Yeah, right. The examiner has said, can you start speaking now, please? That means it's your time, and so the clock starts. So don't lose 10 seconds checking. Just start speaking.
Okay. So today I'm going to talk about a time when I helped someone. It was 2 months ago. When
2 months ago, so 2 months ago. So adding s to ago, that's a. Uh, let's check my knowledge of linguistics. A bound morpheme. We don't change ago. Agoes we don't use.
taking part in a Facebook group, I
Cool. So taking part in, nice awareness of collocation.
came across a little gun.
I came across a little gun. She means a little girl, but I came across is good.
Well, at first sight, not only was she beautiful, but
Okay, so she's learned inversion, right? At first sight, not only was she beautiful, but she was also. So this inversion is high level grammar, and it is suitable here.
she also had a knack for English.
Okay, she had a knack for English. Again, it's good vocab. I just don't know if it's delivered naturally.
But unluckily, she came from a poor family, so
Did you say luckily or unluckily? I don't know.
she could not have much money to learn with.
Money. So again, much and money. This stretching of the word money. She didn't have much money. She didn't have enough money. We don't need the money. We don't need to hold that tone there. Now, Vietnamese, as I understand, is a tonal language. So the type of tones that you use is super important. But sometimes when your language is tonal and you're speaking a second or an additional language, that use of the tones can cross over into those languages. As someone who's studied a bit of Chinese, I understand that I cannot use English intonation in Chinese because it will change the meaning of everything that I'm trying to say. Um,
A teacher or learn at an English center. That's why after that, I kept in touch with her via Facebook and I started to help her on a daily basis. Well,
cool. I like on a daily basis. Very nice.
firstly, um, to begin with, I built a strong foundation by teaching her with grammar and some simple
Teaching her with grammar. Teaching her grammar.
vocabularies. And
Vocabulary is an uncountable noun. We don't use it in plural. Not vocabularies, but some vocabulary.
after that, I taught her about English skills, know how to write short paragraphs, and know how to speak English. Yeah, and for the first time, she had difficulties in learning English.
To have difficulties in doing something is a grammatically accurate construction.
But about at the end of this course, I felt that her English skills and knowledge has improved a lot.
So I felt that her English skills and knowledge had improved a lot. I feel that they have improved, but I felt that they had improved.
For example, when meeting her for the first time,
I like this when plus gerund, right? When meeting her for the first time. Participle, when meeting her for the first time. Nice.
she could not speak a short sentence, but after that,
Didn't have you speak a short sentence, say a short sentence, create a short sentence, construct a short sentence, make a short sentence.
she can have a conversation with me.
She could have a conversation.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
thank
she
you.
felt
Thank you. What time is
okay.
it? Okay, so you can see here some disappointment from Trina. Okay. It's okay, right? You'll speak for the 2 minutes, and when your 2 minutes are up, the examiner will stop you and just relax. It's perfectly fine. You don't need any reaction, just smile. And do you like helping people?
Yeah, I like helping someone, especially some young kids.
Okay. I like helping someone, especially some. It sounds like donkeys, right? She's saying young kids here, especially some young kids, but it sounds like donkeys. Listen again.
Yeah, I like helping someone, especially some young kids.
So, yeah, pronunciation isn't great there. So, in terms of grammatical range and accuracy, we do see some good stuff. We saw some inversion. Not only was she but she was also This is very high level stuff. When meeting for the first time, very good. She mixed up some present perfect with past perfect, and you know, there was a decent range, but not quite, not full control. So I think approximately grammatical range and accuracy, I'm looking at about a 6. Um, I think vocab might be her strongest point, but let's see how she does in part three. Part three, we know that we have some more difficult questions. So far, I know probably for pronunciation, I'm giving her 5. That one is fixed. For vocabulary, I'm kind of maybe even leaning towards 7. I think there is enough vocabulary, enough good vocabulary in there for a 7. I just don't know how I feel about this forced vocabulary, like that example of cup of tea, a knack for. So if I see more examples of this like forced, unnatural use of what the candidate thinks is high level vocabulary but isn't really suitable in this context, I might drop her down to a 6. Grammatical range and accuracy, again, I'm looking at about a 6. Fluency and coherence. Coherence is the language that she uses is coherent. The pronunciation makes it a bit incoherent, but I'm really looking now at the flow of the speech. Now I know this can be pronunciation, but I want to see how she maintains, how she speaks. Is she willing to speak and extend her answers fully? Does Are we going to see more good use of cohesive devices and linking words here? Let's see. Okay, so you've been talking about a time when you helped someone. Now I'd like to move on and talk about helping others in society. How important is it to help others in society?
Well, from my point of view, it's really vital to have a person in society because it's a way for you to have their life become more happier and
More happier, to make life happier.
yeah, and you
Not fully extended.
can make them more motivated to learn better.
So I don't think it's a sophisticated idea, right? So she's focusing on the language. It's really vital too, because she's been told don't use important, change it to really vital, and that's fine. I like that word vital. Perfectly appropriate here. Great, but I don't know if we get a full satisfying answer to that, right? How important is it to help people in society? Well, you can make them happier, more motivated, but you don't say how, you don't give examples. So, what are some things you can do in society? You could say something like, well, we have a lot of problems, for example, we have a lot of homeless children, and I think people who volunteer and give their time to help those orphans or homeless children, I think that can really make a difference in their life, because those children, when they grow up, they will really remember the help that you gave them, and that could inspire them to help other people, right? That would be a satisfying full answer, rather than just, yeah, it can motivate people, it can make people happy. Well, examples can help to support, so we're not fully supporting our ideas here.
For example, um, in society, there
Oh, we are going to get an example.
are a lot of people who are really in need. But if a person voluntary to help them, they will feel really optimistic, have
Oh, she does give the example. Okay, it's not perfect, but in terms of language, but
more energy, motivation to live better.
okay, can give them more energy and more motivation. Not fully explained how, but the example is there, so decent. And what kind of people in society do you think need help the most?
Mm, well, I think there are a lot of Thais people who are really need
A lot of Thais pupil. I don't know what that means.
help in society. The first group is street
Ah, type of people. The first groof, group.
children. Yeah, they don't have parents. They have to work as early age to earn money by themselves to
Again, that money, the rising intonation, money. They have to earn money themselves.
support themselves every day. And the second group maybe disadvantaged children.
That's the same, no? She spoke about poor children, now she's speaking about disadvantaged children, so I don't know if that's really a second separate group.
They was born but unluckily maybe they don't have hands, don't have legs, so it's a bit inconvenient for them
Yeah, a bit inconvenient, sounds strange, like disabled children.
for many daily activities. Yeah, so I think everyone, especially governments, should spend their money supporting this kind of people so that they can have a
So that they can have a very, very nice little linking device there.
happy life like many people.
Let's move on now and talk about the problem of homelessness. Is homelessness a problem where you live?
Mm, not really. As I mentioned earlier, I live in a small village,
As I mentioned earlier, I like that reference to a previous turn.
so this problem is not at the height of the fashion. On the
It's not at the height of the fashion. So again, she's learnt this expression. It's not popular. Probably there's some IELTS thing that says instead of saying fashionable, say at the height of fashion, or instead of saying popular, say at the height of fashion. It doesn't really work here.
the country, in many big cities, homelessness has been a serious problem. Um,
Don't know about this use of present perfect. Homelessness is a serious problem. You could say it has been a problem for a long time.
from the heart of the city, every corner of the streets, you can see a lot of homelessness people. Yeah,
Homeless people. The adjective homeless people. What kind of people? Homeless people.
yeah. I think in the big city are more popular.
And what are some reasons why people become homeless?
Yeah,
So this is a tricky question, I guess. She's already mentioned that homelessness isn't a problem in her city, but it's a real challenge to get to the highest levels under pressure with a question, where you can't think of the right answer. Can you produce an answer that makes sense and is developed?
it's a bit difficult for me to answer this question
I know.
because homelessness is not familiar with me. But
So I am not familiar with homelessness.
I think the first reason is that they don't have a good job, so they cannot earn money by themselves.
Job or job. So interesting with the group, she replaced the p with a f, and with job, she replaced the b with a v. Group and job.
To buy many necessary items for themselves. And secondly, maybe they
Necessary, not necessary, but nice word.
are disabled, so they cannot have a normal life like many people. They cannot work, cannot earn money by themselves. And moreover, maybe they don't have enough money to build house, to build house by themselves to live. That's why they have to leave.
Okay, so I think she's doing well in part three. She really is extending her answers and trying to give meaningful responses. Um, Her grammar isn't always perfect, but she is showing real signs of accuracy and control. Not always, but generally it's quite strong. Pronunciation is still a huge negative thing, but I think the vocab is also quite good. So, yeah.
On many streets.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. Okay, alrighty then. So, that is the end of her test. I guess we will get to the scores. So, fluency and coherence. I think there may be enough in there for a 7. I know sometimes there are hesitations and sometimes there's repair work and sometimes there's like staccato pronunciation, but I think that is a pronunciation thing, not a fluency thing. So the remarks I'm going to give here is you show a willingness to speak at length and to support and to develop your answers. Sometimes you could be more specific with your development, right? So speaking about those children, instead of it can make them happier or it can motivate them, you could really speak about how it could motivate them, how it could make them happier. But in general, good with fluency and coherence. There is natural extension, and the language itself is easy enough to understand. The language is, or the ideas are presented in a generally clear way. Ideas are also linked together with a variety of cohesive devices. I think there are enough cohesive devices in there for a 7. So I think probably enough for a 7. Lexical resource, I'm going to drop this one to a 6. I think really she does have enough vocab for a 7, for sure. But, so I'm going to add in general, you have a deep vocabulary and can speak about a variety of topics with relative ease, so it's not so difficult for you to find the right vocab to speak about these different things. However, there are times when it is very obvious that you are trying to use impressive language when simpler alternatives would be more appropriate. So just be careful with overusing your idioms. I don't think any candidate should use any idioms at all. I think they should use some examples of idiomatic language, but many candidates don't know the difference between idioms and idiomatic language. I don't like full, long, fixed expressions, all of that stuff you see on Twitter and Instagram. In the IELTS, say this, don't say this. This is IELTS English. This is normal English. Use the IELTS English. It's nonsense. Use good, clear, standard, natural English and you'll be fine. Don't worry about adding extra colourful terms because your teacher told you they sound nice. If you are not sure of a piece of vocab, don't use it. Okay. So grammatical range and accuracy. Do we have enough? I'm gonna give 6, I think. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna give 6. They may be, again, they may be maybe close to a 7. So there is a wide variety of grammatical structures and sentence types. We get complex sentences, we get simple sentences. There are clear examples of high-level grammar, especially that inversion. Not only was she but she was also That was a good part. However, there are a few basic mistakes that are noticeable in your language, especially choosing the correct part of speech. So what the hell is a part of speech? Well, part of speech is verbs, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and so on. And sometimes there are no homelessness people in my town. Well, that's a noun, right? What kind of people? Homeless people. If you voluntary, I think, if you voluntary instead of if you volunteer. So there were a few examples of that where the incorrect part of speech was used, and for me, just a little bit too many. And 3 month ago's, yeah, that's very basic level basic level grammar. So probably the candidate does have enough range for a 7, but just that accuracy pulls it down to a 6. Pronunciation is the weakest point. 5. I would say there's only a partial, and it could even be lower than this. It could possibly even be 4 for pronunciation, but I will give 5. There's only, let's say there is a limited range of phonological features with many repeated mistakes with individual phonemes or sounds. So we always get the E, we never get the we don't get the ch, we just get the s. We don't get the but, we get the v. We don't get the p, we get the f. We don't get the we get the d. We don't get the th, we get the t. So lots of those sounds are mispronounced. You omit or drop consonants at the end of words too often. Sometimes we do this naturally in English. There are different things in pronunciation, like assimilation, for example, or more specifically here, elision, where we drop things, drop certain sounds, but the candidate doesn't naturally elide. She elides where she shouldn't elide. Also, your intonation follows the patterns of your L1, which I guess in Boom's case is Vietnamese. So she uses Vietnamese intonation, not English. So possibly even a 4 for pronunciation. I'm not sure. Generally, it's clear enough, but the examiner really has to work hard to figure out what they're saying, what she's saying. So what do we have overall? We have 7, 6, 6, 5. So overall we have 5 things to work on. Stop trying to use language that you think will impress the examiner. So if you learn all of those things, like go to great lengths, or have a knack for, or not my cup of tea, or the grass is always greener on the other side, or it's raining cats and dogs, all of that stuff, sometimes dropping it in naturally is okay, but rely on your own natural English language skills. You have lots of good features of your language. Maybe try to slow down a little and don't drop the consonants at the end of words. You can practice this yourself. Record yourself speaking, listen back to yourself, find those problematic words, practice them. improve or practice with the following sounds. Go with ch, the and th, but, f. These ones are mispronounced all the time. You know, there are resources like Ship or Sheep, which is a classic book on pronunciation, which gives you practice with these things. Yeah, many things that you can do to practice this pronunciation. Intonation really does take a long time to work on, and all aspects of pronunciation actually can be really difficult to get. So I appreciate that pronunciation is probably the most difficult thing, but I think the candidate does have the potential to get a 7, but it's very likely that she'll get 6 or 6.5 overall. So yeah, 7, 6, 6, 5. Overall, we get 6, but decent performance. So yeah, hopefully that was useful for you. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I am doing free writing feedback in the month of June and possibly have some time for some more practice speaking tests too. So if you're interested, please do get in touch. But for now, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much and goodbye.